sneak peek. That's all you get. You have to watch the rest of the video. Hello, welcome to this week's video, or possibly the second video of the week. I've been sent some paints to try out from Gaahleri, a new range of paints they're releasing in August. A little sample set here, which is a very nice way actually to mix your paints up and give them a shake, because I can shake all 6 at once. But I've also been sent a box of metallic paints as well. So I'm going to give those a try out with some of the techniques that I use with spirit stains. Obviously the difference is I'm going to just use one airbrush, because unlike the spirit stains I can't just leave the paint in the paintbrushes. It'll dry, it'll go hard, it'll be an absolute pig to clean. So I'm going to do some work with some stencils, some masking work, and then possibly behind me in the laser engraver there's a bit of work being engraved. I might even do some airbrushing of that as well. So stay tuned, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, so I'm going to run through the sample set first on this first session using some stencils. Here's a new sunflower stencil. The seed head cutout is not as good as my original one, but I bought a few more of these because I was worried about them breaking. Well, the one I have breaking. So this goes on a bit different from stain. You do need to have a good airbrushing technique when you're working with paint. Stain is a lot more forgiving in an airbrush. But just having a play, seeing how it covers. And I'm working on a blank that's been coloured with chestnut lacquers, ebonizing lacquer one half, ivory lacquer on the other. See what sort of difference the paints have over those backgrounds, because I will almost always have a background colour. Bit of blue now. This is a very nice strong blue. You can see it covering the black very well, and the white you'd expect it to cover well anyway. A little bit blurry around the edges of the blue. There's a little central boss sticking out, which is stopping the stencils lying flat. So that sunflower one, that came out quite nicely. Play around now using my circle stencil, filling some in completely, going for shading, and I'm not taking a great deal of care over the application of the paint here. You'll notice one or two little runs or splodges where I've put the paint on a little bit too thick. It's just a play session, getting used to the paints, getting used to airbrushing with them, and I guess working out how much you can put on in one go without it running. Generally you want to build up light coats. Occasionally I pull the trigger back a little bit too far and get a bit of a splodge. But it was fun playing around with them. Crackle stencil going on now. I've got a couple of these. This is my least favourite of the two. I find the lines just a little bit too wide, and this bit I mucked this bit up, so don't pay too much attention to it. You can see it's a little bit runny and a bit splodgy. I think this turned out to be my favourite bit of the whole test piece from the morning, actually. Just a ripped piece of cardboard from an old publicity leaflet, I think for the Woodturning Weekend of 4. But I really like the way this red goes on over the ivory lacquer. It's Italian racing red. There you go. There's one of the names, the paint names, not a brand name. The black. These work very nicely. These work very similar to stains. In this application anyway, you get that lovely gradient of fading from a hard edge to a soft edge. But you can see I'm not really worrying too much about an overall design or what it looks like. I'm playing around with the paints. This is gold, a little bit heavy-handed with that last one. I also tried a couple of the metallic paints out using the stencil. There was a little bit of a gradient, not as much. You can see the gradient there, but also I found these ones, they ran a little bit, so they're a little looser. I need to be a bit gentler with those, slow down a little bit and not put so much on. Then I had a little play around with the stencil, putting some gold over the petals, and just playing. I do really like the vibrancy and the strength of the colour of these stencils. I mean, that red, it looks just like so warm and vibrant, wonderful. Blue and gold, lovely colour combination that you can't really beat. Here we go, get some of that over the petals as well, catch the edges of them. Right, so there we are with the first little play with those colours, paints. Very nice, bright, vibrant, strong colours, particularly like the red and the orange and the blue. They're very strong. The white, the metallic ones I need a little more practice with. I was getting a bit of runs with the copper and the gold. Just got to get used to airbrushing with a different type of medium. I normally, as you know, use spirit stains, although I have done a little bit with paints, with some of the chestnut paints in the past. I really do like the metallic though. This gold here is a very, very strong. The silver is great as well. You get a very nice metallic look from it. Around here, very strong. It probably doesn't show up so well on the screen. That's silver. That one's aluminium. Can you tell the difference? I like the black, zirconium black. That was very, very good as well. I love, probably my favourite bit on the whole thing are these, I suppose, like rose petals, aren't they? And I have seen people with tutorials and painting a rose petal using an airbrush, so it's not dissimilar. But it's amazing how some of the more interesting effects are created with something just as simple as a little bit of torn cardboard. The stuff over here with the cells, it was very nice. I like the purple, but just ghosting over it with a bit of silver gives it a bit of a metallic sheen. And it's had a coat of matte varnish, which was sent for me to try out as well. So, and I can see the varnish on the surface. It does a good job of homogenizing the appearance. However, you can probably see there's quite a lot of strong grain showing through, which the paint obviously can't hide. This side, the grain is not so prominent, but if I angle it, you'll see it. I just saw it. Of course, I'm not going to get it back. There we go. Yeah, bit of a. You can see the grains. So this is a rather open-grained, long, cathedral almost grain. Better to have something a bit plainer, really. But they were great fun. It's a bit of a slower way of working for me, which probably isn't a bad thing, and it does give a different impression than what I normally use. If you're interested in getting some airbrush paints, and they will last a long time. I mean, I probably, each time I change the colour, I probably didn't use more than 12 drops of paint, apart from if I left them in the edit when I squeezed it a bit hard. This bit over here is we'll talk less about, but that's my favourite bit. I think it worked very nicely with the flower. I like the cells and the little circles that I've sprayed, and that was a good fun hour or two mucking about in the shed. Yeah, well, let me know what you think of this bit in the comments below. Well, it's out of the laser engraver. Another go at a previous project. There's another video on the making of this that you can find on my channel, and this is the only airbrushing I actually do of it. So if you want to see how I colour this, you'll have to wait for a future video, because I decided that airbrushing really only needed to be done for the base coat, and the rest, well, that needs paintbrushes, so that's another video. And now for a bit more of a play with the metallics. Just give them a good shake first. So I'm still using the same airbrush, my Gaahleri GHAD 39 that I bought last year. learning from this morning's experience, I need to do light coats. Down for air, back for colour, and move. Build it up with the light coats, and when you're using paints it's really important not to let the air off when you've got the trigger pulled back. So you really need to be very practiced at just moving back all the time and not letting your finger off until the trigger is all the way at the front. Otherwise you get a lot of paint drying on the tip of your airbrush. Yeah, that's kept a pretty crisp edge. Oh, might have made that parallel. More by luck than judgment. And sorry if this little bit of texture here is putting anyone off. It is just a practice, just a test to see what they're like. Right, so aluminium and the darker grey is stainless steel, so yes, you can tell the difference. I really mucked up that side though. But there you go, I'll show you all my little mistakes where I put it on a bit too thick, not trying to hide anything. The coverage of the paint generally is pretty good. It's a shame I've got so much overspray. You can really see it here. But there we go. Just having a bit of fun, playing around and trying them out. Since the demise of the Chestnut acrylic metallic paints that airbrushed nicely, it's been something I've been on the lookout for, so I'm quite pleased to have had a go with these. A bit more time needed to get used to them, and used to swapping between different colours and one airbrush. It feels very slow to me. Hopefully the editing has taken care of that for you at home. So a little bit out of balance design wise, a little bit messy in places, just putting the paints through their paces and having a bit of fun with it actually. I'm impressed with the quality, the coverage is great, the colours are very vibrant. Of the two plays, I think I preferred the one with the stencils. Overall, really did like that sort of the torn cardboard template. And well, this one is just a bit too fussy and a bit too busy. One day I'm going to have a minimalist phase. So there's links to those paints if I can find one in the description below. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. It all helps to get the information out there. And if you have any questions, any comments, please leave them below. Until next time, thanks for watching. Well, I couldn't resist, could I? Another quick little play. And what fun to have a third bit of voiceover narration in the editing suite. I make it sound a lot grander than it really is. But this was a good little fun play session. And I've speeded this up. This is 8,000 times faster than it took to actually make it, unless I've misunderstood Da Vinci Resolve. Well, if you stuck it out past the credits, you'll have seen that I've had another go, another play. It's a little bit psychedelic, this one, isn't it? I was going for something really minimal. I was just going to do the little sort of red, can't see them, let's put it on the overhead. I was just going to go for the red waves here, and a red circle up here, and maybe a silver line, but I could not resist. I quite like these washes of colour, but they all seem to come from slightly different origins, and it does highlight some of the pitfalls of working in a dusty workshop. Bits of dust in there, and working with paint that takes a bit longer to dry than stain than I'm used to. That's a little bit of something to contend with. And also you can see I've just put layers of paint over layers of paint, and unlike stain, which will always just be a flat surface, you can see the ghosts of the other layers of paint sticking through. But yeah, it just shows some of the quality of the paint. The pigments in it are wonderful, the strength of the colours are great. They're not quite showing up as well on that camera as I was imagining they would. Let's come back onto the face one. Maybe it's a little bit dark in here, who knows. But yeah, thanks for still watching. Until the next time, goodbye.